Welcome to the Conservation Diver Ecological Monitoring Program. This is a scientifically based method of monitoring and recording data on coral reef health, abundance, and biodiversity. This program has been running since 2006, with over 1,000 surveys conducted and is taught in multiple countries. In this course, you will learn about many facets of coral reef ecology, fish and invertebrate ID, coral anatomy and ID, and how to identify problems such as bleaching and coral diseases. All skills which you can use to help scientists around the world better understand and protect our reefs. In this video, we will cover some of the more basic techniques for the surveys, equipment you will need, safety precautions, and some tips and tricks to make your surveys more successful. So join us on what we hope will be the start of your new adventure as a conservation diver. For the EMP, we use all the standard scuba dive and safety equipment, including surface markers, a compass, and a dive computer. We also have some additional equipment, which you must learn to manage properly underwater to ensure you do not cause damage to the reef. Remember that this survey is an advanced diving technique, and only those with adequate buoyancy control should undertake it. The first item we have is the survey slate. It is prepared ahead of time for the specific survey being conducted, so be sure you have the right slate for the particular survey you will be completing that day. It is a good idea to also bring a spare pencil, because if you lose yours, you will not be able to collect any data. However, do not store pencils in your BCD pockets, as this could damage the equipment. If it is one of your first dives, you may also want to bring along a Conservation Diver Indicator Species card. You will also have a Secchi disc and two 50-meter reels or transect lines. On some surveys, you will also need a 1-meter PVC bar. When jumping into the water, it is best to jump without the slates or reels and have someone hand them to you after you signal OK. This will ensure your equipment is not lost or broken. Your first job upon entering the survey area will be to find the starting point, also known as Point A. This will be marked with a concrete buoy and a yellow float. Never move these, as many have been down for over a decade and are important for the data's consistency. Consult the maps, give a good briefing, and try to find them from the surface if possible. Not being able to find the markers may waste valuable dive time or lead to an unsuccessful survey dive. This takes practice and time to achieve, which is why it is important to really get to know your survey sites. Two divers lay out the line together. One is the navigator and the other is the line manager. All data collection relies on the line being laid out properly, so there are some techniques and tips which should be adhered to. For the navigator, they will swim in a straight line at a predetermined bearing, which can be found on your site maps. It is vital that they follow this bearing and never try to decide where the line will go, such as trying to include or exclude certain corals or areas. When looking back to check on your buddy, always look under your legs rather than over your shoulder to prevent any lateral movement or other digression from the straight path. If you come to any large corals or boulders, go over them, not around, and try to stay about 1 to 2 meters above the bottom. As a line manager, your job is to carefully lay out the line following the navigator exactly. Again, do not try to decide where the line goes, just make it straight so that every month's data collection is from the same location. Be careful not to be so close as to contact the reef, nor too high above the bottom that the line is not straight and tight. The perfect distance is about 0.5 to 1 meters from the bottom, depending on your buoyancy skills. Also be sure that the metric side is facing up, otherwise the substrate survey will be more difficult. At the 50-meter point, you will have to tie the two lines together, use a simple overhand knot, and be sure the reels will not harm any marine life. Sometimes, if there are currents or waves, you may want to bring a few extra weights down with you to stop the line from moving. But again, do not use them in cases where marine life could be injured, such as on a living coral. The first survey you are likely to learn is the invertebrate survey. In this survey, you will be looking for indicator species that are generally on the bottom, between corals, and in the cracks and holes on the reef. So you have to move slowly and have a close look around. Swim down the line, looking 2.5 meters to either side of it, which is about your height with your fins extended, but your instructor will show you how to visualize this underwater. Be sure to keep moving forward while zigzagging, looking closely but not making contact with the reef. Record any species you find on your slate using tally marks. The next survey you will perform is the fish survey. Again, we will be looking 2.5 meters to either side of the line, but also we'll have to look in the water column for the swimming fish. This creates an invisible survey tunnel in which all fish indicator species are recorded, which is 3 meters wide, 5 meters tall, and 20 meters long. Swim slowly in a straight line, being sure to look both ahead and below for the fish, as all have differing behaviors. Be sure not to count the same fish twice, and estimate as best as you can for large schools. For fish that you need to identify by size, you can use a standard slate to make your estimates more accurate. For the substrate survey, we will be looking at points instead of taking data along a belt. Your instructor will teach you how to do this before going out, and also teach you the codes used in your particular area. Be sure to keep proper body position for the substrate survey, also known as the researcher position. This means your feet are above your head to allow you to be close to the substrate without contacting or causing any damage to the reef. Be accurate in your data collection and check corals for any disease or signs of compromised health. When all 3 surveys have been completed, it is time to reel in the line. First, check with your buddy to ensure that you both have enough air to reel in the line and return to the boat safely. Next, begin at the end and slowly reel in the line, taking care to not let it become twisted or entangled. Also, be sure that you're not pulling on it, which could break corals that are in contact with the line. There are generally 2 lines for each survey location, a shallow and a deep. The procedures are generally the same for both. However, the team which does the deep line also performs a secchi, or visibility reading. To do this, both divers will go to a depth of 5 meters. The diver holding the secchi disc will stay stationary, pointing the disc at the other diver as if it was a flashlight. Next, the other diver will swim away while laying out the transect. When they can no longer differentiate between the black and white sections of the disc, they stop and record that value. Then, swim slowly back towards the secchi disc until they can see it again, and record that value. The 2 values are averaged to give the visibility. When that is finished, make sure all equipment has been gathered and return to the boat as a buddy team, following all relevant safety procedures such as the use of a surface marker buoy and a safety stop. When you get back to the boat, all teams should do a short debriefing to discuss any problems encountered on the dive, both in terms of the survey and the health or abundance of reef animals. Check the slates to ensure that all the metadata has been filled in, and also take notes on things that could affect the survey, such as waves, crowds, visibility, temperature, or any other relevant variables. Remove all equipment from the BCDs to ensure it is not confused with other divers' equipment back at the dive center. Depending on your location, once back at the dive center, record your data down on paper or directly into the online database. Thank you for your participation in the Conservation Diver Ecological Monitoring Program. We hope this will allow you to better understand the processes and interactions occurring on the reefs and be better prepared to monitor and assess them. Monitoring and research is essential to all other conservation work, as we must thoroughly understand the ecosystem and its threats before we can take actions to protect it. We also hope that you will look into our other conservation certification programs covering many areas of research, restoration, and conservation. More information is available from your instructor or our website at conservationdiver.com.